This project is about Wycliffe Gordon. Wycliffe was born in Waynesboro, Georgia on May 29, 1967. His father was a classical pianist and a teacher. He was one of Wycliffe's biggest influences. His family was very religious and were active members of different churches across Burke County, Georgia. His siblings were also interested in music, and both his family and spiritual roots can be found in Wycliffe's personality as well as his music. When he was 13, his great-aunt left his family a set of jazz records, which sparked his interest and love for this kind of music. He started to play the trombone because his older brother played it. He went on to play in the band in high school and even got to perform in New York City with the McDonald's High School All-American Band. He went to college at Florida A&M, where he was a music major and played in the marching band. This is where he would meet Wynton Marsalis and kickstart his career. As mentioned, Wycliffe met trumpet player Wynton Marsalis at the college Florida A&M after Marsalis overheard him playing in a workshop. Marsalis invited him to play in the Wynton Marsalis Septet in 1989. He played for them and in 1995 was commissioned to arrange and orchestrate the theme song for the National Public Radio's All Things Considered. Some of his compositions have been performed by the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, the brass bands of Battle Creek, Wycliffe Gordon and Friends, and more. Some of his most famous and popular albums are Bone Structure from 1996, The Gospel Truth from 2000, and Head to Head from 2002. He has been awarded Best Trombone 2012 to 2016 by Downbeat Magazine, Trombonist of the Year 9 times by Jazz Journals Association, and his town of Augusta, Georgia declared August 17, 2007 Wycliffe Gordon Day to celebrate his many accomplishments. These are just a few of the recognitions he has received in his career. This video shows Wycliffe Gordon and Wynton Marsalis playing together at the Death of Jazz. This video shows Wycliffe Gordon and Friends in Lincoln Center with the Jazz Orchestra. Wycliffe Gordon claims to be influenced by the swing era of jazz. However, he has started to expand his use of different instruments and has begun to play more gospel music, going back to his spiritual roots. Incorporating his spirituality into his career is and always has been very important to him. He is married to his general manager, April Brumfield, and they have no children. They greatly enjoy traveling together. He has even begun selling instruments and mouthpieces on his website, adding businessman to his many titles. Like Charles Mingus, Gordon claims to have music playing in his head at all times, and this is what makes him successful as a composer and arranger. This includes interviews, conversations, and some of Wycliffe's music. The first interview, Wycliffe discusses how even though he is closest to the trombone, it's not necessarily his specialty because he can play other instruments like the piano and the tuba. Here he is seen practicing as a composer and playing. He calls this a workshop at home.
Hello, I'm Wycliffe Gordon.
Okay, and your specialty is the trombone, correct?
Some would say that. It's the instrument that I've spent most of my time with and been most intimate with. I play a few instruments, but trombone is it's the one that I'm closest to.
Describe a day in your life.
Oh, wow. A day in my life, I don't know if you want to know about all.
The G-rated version.
The G-rated version. Well, I do a lot of traveling. I'm trying to travel less. I love traveling, but I try to get away from the day-to-day travel. I used to do one-nighters, and now I'm just, a little more satisfied doing 3 or 4 nights at least, or residencies for like a week.
There's also an article that records an interview with Wycliffe. It discusses his roles as not only a musician, but a composer, arranger, and teacher. To Wycliffe, all of these roles are equally important. They allow him to make a wider impact on the jazz world. This shows how dedicated he is to jazz music and how truly passionate he is about it. The interview comments on his big personality, but his extremely humble behavior, which he attributes to his spirituality. The video on the left of this performance shows Wycliffe as a guest soloist with Corey Band and Robert Childs. It shows how respected he is as a trombonist that he's a featured guest. In the video, you can see some of the human-like timbre that Wycliffe is famous for. According to Wycliffe, his greatest influences are J.J. Johnson, Jack Teagarden, Lawrence Brown, and other great trombonists. However, his biggest influence is Louis Armstrong. Even though he's not a trombonist, this influence can be heard in this piece through Wycliffe's melodies and his funky style of playing. The video on the right discusses a conversation had between Wycliffe Gordon and Wynton Marsalis. In this video, you can see them going back and forth in a call and response manner from a window in Italy. It's a fun video because it shows behind the scenes of what their tour was like and how talented they are that they could just improv on the spot. The top interview is with Beverly Sills and discusses Wycliffe's background directly from him. He talks about how his nickname Pinecone comes from a time where he was recounting being made fun of for his rural roots, and it has stuck with him ever since. Many great jazz musicians have nicknames that just stick with them after one incident for their entire career. The bottom article is a biography as well as a very positive review of Wycliffe Gordon. It talks about the different roles he plays, calling him, quote, one of the nation's foremost music educators. It details the things that he's done and the pieces that he's played. Wycliffe has a very unique approach to creating music as well as a powerful sound and impeccable techniques. According to the article, this has allowed him to gain a loyal following and win awards like Trombonist of the Year 9 times over. Wycliffe's humble nature and incredible ability are what make him, quote, one of the world's most popular trombonists.
being somebody with a celebrated nickname of my own, I have to ask you about yours. You have the nickname of Pine Cone. Some of the people in the orchestra call you Cone. What's Pine Cone mean?
Well, the nickname Pine Cone came from an experience that I had in college while playing football. I was in the marching band, and we split up the sections, and I was quarterbacking. And growing up in the country, rural part of Georgia, I used to love to throw things. And I was running in one direction through the football, and about 60 yards in the other direction. And there was a guy there from the city. He happened to be from Atlanta, and he was picking at me about my strength. So he started calling me names associated with the country, like Chuck Wagon, Gravy Train, and Pine Cone. And upon telling this story to Winton, once I joined the septet back in 1989, they said, Pine Cone, that's a good nickname. That's what we'll call you. So it went from Pine Cone to just Combs, like a last name now.
Here you'll find some of Wycliffe's most notable discography. Thank you for watching our video. We hope that you enjoyed.